So here's the chain of events that led to me sitting here. My my sister-in-law's mother passed away, and my niece, 10-year-old niece, read a few verses at her memorial service, and I was sent the video. And my family's chiming in with how great she did, which she did. She delivered flawlessly, without pause or hesitation, and complete confidence. And I found myself listening to the content of the words she chose to speak. It was a few sentences from the Bible, which I didn't grow up with religion, so I don't really know the Bible. So the ways I've been exposed to it have just been through stories of other people's childhood and any of the teachers that I've had that have referenced. But I listened to the sentences, and it was something about, walking through even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, you set a table for me with my enemies. Anyway, I'm not going to embarrass myself by misquoting. But the essence, it took me a few days of really listening to it, and then actually finding, so I could read it again, finding online, like, what were the exact words, and reading it again till it really finally landed. The essence of this for me right now is, that imagery refers to, okay, can you see when you are in God consciousness, you are able to set a table and imagining a feast of life. You're able to sit across from your enemies and have them be there with you, feasting on the same food of life. And enemies refers to, in my interpretation, anything that we have pushed away, avoided, and suppressed, and sequestered as wrong. Good and evil. It's that black and white, right and wrong, duality. Anything that we've placed into duality, by reuniting at the table, and that's a great symbol, because what does it take? What kind of generosity does it take to invite someone to sit across from you at your table? And that's the generosity of outrageous love, or God consciousness, or anointed self, or real, or who we really are in our nakedness. So what I realized is, what are the enemies that are associated with the reality of death, that we come into life and then we do all die? What are the enemies in that? And it's our fear and aversion and our avoidance of death, of that reality, and everything we do to push that away, those feelings that come along with fear and avoidance and aversion. So we sequester them. So this system of right and wrong thinking, the duality, is actually our armor protecting us. And what we're exposed to, if we acknowledge who we really are, or even acknowledge the possibility of transcending right and wrong, is we become naked again. We become exposed. And it hasn't been safe in the human world that we've created from duality to be exposed like that. So this really came from my own exploration of, what am I afraid of? Why am I not really sharing all of who I am in my communication with physicians, as an example? And I know that this whole process for me is about resurrecting and healing the divisions that I've created in myself. But of course, in that process, I get to see everything I've avoided. And what is it? My fear of acknowledging this part, this experience I've had of waking up to my true creative potential, what I truly love, the elements of life that bring me joy and what I've connected with in the essence of it has nothing to do with these false identities of doctor and job descriptions that we've been fed by a culture for its own agenda to keep us in an economic cycle that feeds our entire society. It's another whole subject. So the identity of doctor is totally manufactured, and we accepted it. And now that I've stepped out of it and realized who I am in my nakedness, going back to talk to them brings up, oh, what am I afraid of? Why does this reignite the old fears of, oh, I need to package myself in a certain way and speak in a certain way and speak their language? And I've touched it now. It's this realization that it's a protective mechanism to enclose yourself in a world based on right and wrong. Because when you have a system of right and wrong, you can always point to something outside yourself. You can always be totally not home and point to some rule book that says, whether it's science, evidence, or whatever, that says, this is right, this makes me right. So I can sit in front of you with my white coat and my license and not get sued and say I'm right. Or those people are wrong. You know, we use the right and wrong as a way to protect us from the reality that, hello, we're all on our own walk toward death. And that's not a bad thing. It's not an evil thing. It's the reality that we really don't like to talk about, again, because it brings up the feelings that we don't want to invite to our table as humans. So we retreat into the right and wrong, and we go to doctors to do the right thing, to try to save us from something that we fear is happening to us, that's already happening to us. So it's really amazing for me to experience in myself the holding back of acknowledging my experience of my full love, my ability to invite my fear to my table, and what that's been like compared to living in the box of right and wrong and the pain and the suffering of that. And it's the continuing unfolding of how the system of right and wrong, the division that we hold in place with so much energy, it really requires energy to hold that right and wrong in place. And I've been really practicing this with myself in terms of, oh, it's okay. You know, noticing everything that I've been trying to correct about myself through my whole life and just having a different response of, it's okay that I resist. It's okay that I feel fear. It's okay that I have my anger. It's okay that I, blah, blah, blah. Anything that I've judged in myself, any feelings of withholding, tension, resistance, to greet it, have it sit down at my table and be with it, has had a dramatic effect on my physiology. I breathe differently. And when I stay with it, all of a sudden I open up to a new possibility that wasn't occurring to me when I was in the space of needing to be right, needing to do it right, to stop the wrong. So this is big and powerful, and I'm so excited for myself and for the rest of the planet that's also waking up to in their own way to the pain of right and wrong. And how we created that. We created that pain as an attempt to protect us from the idea of pain, or the idea of something that we wanted to put off or not see or not acknowledge. The biggest of which is our own demise, our own eventual death, our own limited time here on earth and the preciousness of the life, and we just didn't know how to love our life except by holding on, trying to protect it, contain it, and not have anything bad happen. And that doesn't work. To truly live, it just works to contract down into a smaller and smaller box of possibility. So, transcending right and wrong, yet again, subject of another video by Lisa. Enjoy.